Hey everyone, I've got my RC10GT2 here. This is an older model that's actually discontinued. I think I got it in 2007. It's one of my favorite models. This is a nitro kit, so it's not electric. I'm probably going to keep it for a while, but in that time I've been doing various upgrades, trying to collect parts for it and everything. So I wanted to make a video today about one of the upgrades I did. It was actually a pretty hard and painful upgrade. It took almost 2 years for me to actually track down all the parts. It's kind of ridiculous. So what it is, it's really right up here up front, if you can see. That's why one wheel's on, one's off. Basically what I'm doing is I wanted to take the old style wheels where the bearings are actually inside the nylon wheel. You get one bearing in there and one bearing on the other side, and then you put your wheel on. Every time you want to change wheels in the front, you have to pull your bearings out, put them in the new wheel, and then put it back on. It's not the end of the world, but they're not really making these wheels as much anymore, so I wanted to upgrade. So this is the newer modern version with the 12mm hex. So I wanted to upgrade this kit to the modern wheels out there with, or at least stadium truck wheels with 12mm hex, and there it is right there. So now what happens is, here's my hub. If you look, there's the axle, there's the hex. The bearings are now inside the hub right there. And that's pretty much it. So now the bearings stay inside there. The only thing you have to do to change out the wheel is pull off the lock nut and then switch out the wheel. So it's a much better way of doing things. That's pretty much the whole upgrade. It's just that it took me a very long time to locate this axle right here, or two of them. Obviously they came in a pair. So I finally did, so I thought I'd make a video, and I did have some trouble. So I thought I was going to make a video and just show everybody what happened and how I finally got there, I guess you would say. So first things first, I have a parts list. I'm going to put it in the description. Right now it's just on my phone. So you don't have to worry about copying it off the screen if you plan on doing this upgrade. If you have the same truck, I believe this will work for the RC10GT2, the RC10 truck 3 or 4. 5, I believe, came with hexes out of the box. And I think it's also and definitely it's also for the SC10. I don't know if it was actually intended for this RC10GT2 here, because like I said, I had some issues. It didn't seem to just drop in. So I'm going to just go through it real quick with this parts list. I'll put it literally on my phone on the screen. So give me 1 second here. It's not a lot of stuff. Okay, let me get this to focus properly. Okay, so the steering block says SC10 next to it. That is from an SC10 kit. That's what you're supposed to use. That steering block with the ASC number after it. And then the front axle, that was the one that I couldn't find. It took me a long time. And that's the ASC number after it. Yeah, that's what you would want to look for. That's what I struggled to find. Try to keep this in focus. Okay. So here's the hub right there. See how I can do this. And that's the axle right there, just if you didn't know. And the next 3 items are easy to find. They're just generic items. The bearings, you're going to need 4 of them for both sides. So the axle is 3/16, I believe. Yeah, so you just need a bearing that's 3/16 by 3/8. And there's the ASC number after that too. Same thing with the C-clip. You're going to need a C-clip that's 3/16. There's the ASC number, but I believe any C-clip will work. That's 3/16. After that, it's just a roll pin. It's 1/16 roll pin. There's the ASC number, but you can use, I believe, any 1/16 roll pin. You don't have to actually get that one. I'm going to skip the 12mm hex because that's the one that gave me trouble, and just move on to the truck wheel. This is the actual truck wheel itself. Right here. It's just a modern one. I believe any stadium truck front wheel will work now. That's 12mm. But that's the one I bought right there. Now the things that gave me trouble, we'll go back up to the 12mm wheel hex that says SC10 rear creates wide front track width. That was my primary issue. So This is a, let's see if you can see everything. I'm going to move this and give me 1 second. This is a 12 millimeter wheel hex, but it also has depth to it, I'm sure you know. It's about 6 millimeters in depth. The one that they recommended had something like, must have been at least 10, maybe 12 mil. It was thick, and it was pushing, basically because it was so much thicker, it was coming out to like about here. Instead of being back here, it was coming all the way out to here. And it was pushing the front wheels out really far. So I had this really big track width. It kind of looked pretty goofy, having really wide front tires and skinny back track width. So that's what happened there. I ended up trying to use something else, like I think it was RC10GT2 hexes, and they were so shallow, like internally, where there's a pin in there, that they were also pushed out really far. And that didn't work either. It was the same issue, except they were thinner, and then I would have had to stack all these shims inside of here. Right now I have 2 shims in there to push this wheel hex out, just 2, which is fine with me. So that didn't work either. So what I ended up doing, let me put this down. I found, I don't know how I just kind of eyeballed things on the internet. I found this right here. I'm going to put this in the description. I think that's in focus. It's something from, what is it called? ST Racing Concepts. I had to get this on eBay. I don't know if they make these anymore. I know there's one on eBay right now as of making this video. So somebody has them. So you can get that, I guess, on eBay, or maybe ST Racing Concepts still has a few. But that's what I ended up using. Basically, the pin goes really deep inside the hex, allowing the hex to sit back further. That's really, so there's a pin in here, if you didn't know. If you look on the other side, there's like a pin. No, that light doesn't, if I can rotate that, you can see that there's, no, not that, that's not this little screw. But there's a pin in there, and anyways, the pin goes really deep, allowing this hex to sit back pretty far, whereas with the other ones, they were really shallow, pushing the hex out really far. That's what I needed. I needed this hex to go in much deeper. So this hex seems to have worked. So that was the first problem. The second problem was, they said to use 440 aluminum lock nuts. So if I go back to this right here, in the middle is, last one is the ST Racing 12 millimeter hexes. Then is the aluminum lock nuts. Instead of using 440, which they recommended, they have them on other places on this truck. I tried to put them on the axle. It wasn't even close, way too small. Ended up going with 830 seconds, 832. And there's the ASC number. I'm pretty sure any lock nuts that are 832 will work. And then for shims, I just use 3/16, and the ones I have are 0.010 as far as thickness. And that's pretty much my parts list. So the lock nuts didn't work, the hexes were off, so to speak, and then the shims I just added myself to set up to set my axles up the way I wanted to. I put 2 shims back here. I'll bring this up again real quick. I put 2 shims back here to pull the axle in just a little bit, to reduce that track width a little bit. And then I put 2 shims up here inside between the hex and the bearing. And that's to put the hex exactly where I wanted it to. So if you push the hex out too far, it won't engage with the pin. And then when you tighten down this right here, this lock nut, it's going to put pressure on the bearings, and then your whole wheel won't spin. Basically, it won't go like this. It'll just stop almost immediately as you spin it. And that was starting to happen. So I wanted to push So that's kind of how I alleviated that. So if you put, this is just how I set it up. But yeah, you need, you can't have too much pressure on your bearings. That's why that pin is important inside there. It stops the hex from crushing the bearings. So that's pretty much how I set mine up. I'm going to put the whole parts list in the description. And if you have questions, I'll probably put this on a form. And if you have questions, you can either leave comments on this video and I'll try to help you, or you can probably put this on a forum. You can respond on the forum as well. So that's what the final product looks like. All right. If this video helped you, leave a like. I want to know if anybody actually does follow up. Anybody's interested in still doing upgrades to these old kits. All right. Thanks for watching.